Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Deck Tech. So today we're talking about Jodah, specifically the second Jodah, which is Jodah the Unifier. So yeah, Jodah is a legendary creature that likes when other legendary creatures are actually on the field. So it says whenever you cast a legendary spell from your hand, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a legendary card, a legendary non-land card with lesser mana value. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So it's whenever you cast a legendary, it wants to bring out a legendary that's lesser. It doesn't matter that it's lesser though, because the legendary creatures you control get XX plus, where X is the number of legendary creatures you control. This is a very useful ability because whenever another legendary creature shows up, they all are going to boost each other. Okay, that's called a buff or an anthem effect. So if I have Esika on the field, it's going to be 2/5 because Esika sees another legendary, which is Jodah, and Jodah sees another legendary, which is Esika, so it'll be a 6/6 now. And the same thing happens if there's an Agila. Now there's 3, so you're going to have everyone add 2 because it's each other that they're seeing. Same with, you have the Revi, so now it's +3 for everyone. It's X minus the number of X minus 1 on boost, where X is basically the number of legendaries in the board. Okay, so that's kind of how it works. And yeah, that's not necessarily the best way to play this deck. I like the Cascade, the legendary Cascade, way more. And so this video is going to be about which legendaries to choose so that you cascade onto them in the best ways possible. So first off, what we have is Esika, which is a 3 mana cost commander that lets you add 1 mana of any color, and it also lets other legendary creatures do the same. So yeah, it has vigilance, but we don't care about attacking or blocking. What we care about is it's a mana production. Okay, the value is very high for this card. Same thing is going to happen over with Kenrith, Urza, and Thrasios. It's going to be very valuable because they are mana sinks. So this mana that we produce with all our creatures, we can sink it into one of these 3 and get draw. So each of them are there exclusively for the draw. Kenrith is a 5/5 that costs 5. Urza is a 1/4 that costs 4. And Thrasios is a 1/3 that costs 2. But we don't ever want to attack with these guys. What we want to do is keep them as if it was like an enchantment or something, or an artifact. We want to protect them. And we could attack with them, but the majority of the times, what we want to do is actually have them for value. Same thing is going to happen with these draw cards, which are going to be Sithis, Harvest's Hand, Reki, the History of Kamigawa, and Joira, the Weatherlight Captain. So Joira sees historic spells, and when you cast them, you're going to draw a card. So historic spells are going to be artifacts, legendaries, and sagas, which means that all these legendaries actually trigger Jodah. And same thing is going to happen with Reki. Whenever you play a legendary spell, draw a card. Once again, draw for all the legendaries here. And finally, Sithis is going to draw your card and gain you 1 life whenever you cast an enchantment. Now this deck is going to have plenty of enchantments, and yeah, stay tuned for the other videos so that you can see a little bit more of that. But yeah, for now, those are going to be our value pieces. And there's other cards that also help out with value, especially with the guys that are mana sinks. For example, if you have a card like Zerda, the Dawnwaker, what you're going to have is a card that is lowering the cost of the mana sink. And same thing is going to happen with Biomancer's Familiar. Okay, so these are going to be cards that are going to lower the cost for sinking by 1 or by 2 in the case of Zerda. They're actually both by 2, and so is going to be Training Grounds. They're gonna have the abilities to sink, to mana sink, downcosted by 2 on each of those 3. So Zerda is a legendary, Biomancer's Familiar is not, but the ability is so good that we could run it in the deck, and Training Grounds also is so good that we can run it in the deck. Okay, They're very low cost, 1, 2, and 3 literally. And yeah, that's what we want to do with mana sinks, okay? Now, once we draw those cards, be it through casting or through sinking our mana, which is basically all that we're gonna play, either we spend mana to play spells or spend mana to draw spells. That's how we are going to try to play this. Outdraw our opponents, then cast more stuff, double it with Jodah, get twice a draw, get twice a mana, things like that. That's what's gonna happen on this deck. On the other side here, we have Najeela and Derevi, and this is going to be a combo, and it's actually the only combo in this deck. So Najeela and Derevi are going to combo off each other because they're both cost 3, but whenever a warrior attacks, you may have its controller create a 1/1 white warrior creature token that's tapped and attacking. So a warrior attacks, she creates another one. And so Derevi says, whenever Derevi enters the battlefield or a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may untap or untap target permanents. So Derevi can untap Legendaries, and it can untap the warriors, and the warriors can attack again. Yeah, so Derevi is going to untap creatures or permanents, so that means lands or even creatures that are legendary that Esika can have tap for more mana. And Najeela is going to create tokens that can attack, and whenever they attack, she basically doubles the production of tokens that there is being made at all times. You have 3 attacking, that means 6 next turn. You have 4 attacking, that means 8 next turn. And same thing is going to happen whenever you mana sink into Najeela's ability, which is 1 for each color, and it says untap all attacking creatures. At the end of, they can trample, lifelink, and haste until the end of turn. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. Activate this ability only during combat, okay? So whenever you're attacking, Najeela is going to have creatures attack and make tapped and attacking tokens. Those are going to do damage, so Derevi has them on tap. Then Najeela can attack again. And when they attack, if you have enough mana, you attack, they tap for mana, you attack, they tap for mana, or you can keep untapping. You don't have to untap with Derevi. What you can do is you untap with Najeela's ability, and Derevi will untap the lands that pay for Najeela's ability. Therefore, that is why Najeela is very, very strong in this deck. They're also both cost 3, so anything that's cost 4 or higher will cascade into it very well. And because it's such a low cost, we can play it on early turns. This is combo that's enough for a turn 2, turn 3 kill, but it's the only combo that we have here so far. Okay, so yeah, after that, what we have is Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. This is a pick that's a little bit more rogue. I don't really know how long this has been on the deck, but I do know that it's very useful because Sakashima can actually copy Jodah, and now you have double the triggers and you have double the boost. You also have, because it enters first, it doesn't see itself to double trigger the casting situation, but it does get double the boost. However, with Sithis, no, not with Sithis, with Reki and Joira, it'll trigger, and then without triggering a second time, it can now trigger from now on, with all 3, I think. And yeah, it's actually gonna double your draw for whichever they are letting you draw. So it's really, really useful. And if you were to, for some reason, copy Najeela or copy Derevi, that's twice the amount of tokens or twice the amount of untaps. So that's a pretty good situation so far. You can also copy other stuff that's legendary in the deck, but we'll see that later. We also have Kozilek, Butcher of Truth, which is going to be a tool for not allowing our opponents to mill us out. Because then, if we keep drawing and drawing and drawing, we're going to literally, lose the game. And it also is another draw card. So it has Annihilator 4, and when you cast it, draw 4. But whenever it is put into the graveyard from anywhere, you shuffle it and the graveyard into the library. Okay, so that's pretty useful. Then we have Jace, the Wielder of Mysteries, which is not actually a creature, but it is a legendary, so it counts on almost all these effects, except for Sithis' one. And yeah, so Jace will let you win whenever you overdraw. So if you deck out, Jace is gonna let you win instead of lose. So that's pretty much it for this episode. In the case of Kozilek, we'll talk a little bit more in another video why it's there. Same with Sakashima. and same with Sithis. Okay, so these guys are gonna keep showing up, so we will talk about that in another video. Stay tuned for that. And yeah, comment which one of these, because they're all commanders because they're legendary, right? Comment which one of these is your favorite and let me know that in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, and follow for more. Okay, I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.